My grandma left me everything in her will. Now my family wants me dead. I'm writing this at 3 a.m. because I can't sleep. My heart's been racing for weeks, and every creak in this house makes me jump. I keep a kitchen knife under my pillow now, which is insane to even type out, but I don't feel safe. 3 months ago, my grandma, my best friend, my safe haven, passed away. She left me everything in her will: her house, her savings, her antiques, the works. I thought it was her way of giving me a future, a chance to build something real. Instead, it's turned my life into a horror movie. My family, my own siblings, my parents, have become monsters. They're not just angry. I'm starting to think they want me dead. Let me back up. I'm 28, female, and the youngest of 4 kids. My name's Ellie, though I'm not sure I should even share that here. Growing up, my family was a mess. My parents, Karen and Tom, were always fighting, screaming matches, slammed doors, the works. My siblings, Mark, 35, Lisa, 33, and Jake, 30, were just as chaotic, always scheming or bickering. I was the quiet one, the one who'd escape to Grandma Rose's house whenever things got bad. Her place was this little cottage in the countryside, surrounded by wildflowers and oak trees. It smelled like lavender and fresh bread. She'd teach me how to bake pies, plant tulips, or just sit with me on her porch swing, telling stories about her childhood. She was the only person who made me feel like I belonged. Grandma wasn't rich, at least not in the way you'd think. She lived simply, but she was smart with money. Over decades, she'd saved up about $400,000, mostly from her late husband's pension and some clever investments. Her house, a charming 2-story with creaky floors and stained glass windows, is worth around $250,000. Then there were her antiques, old jewelry, a mahogany dining table, a collection of vintage clocks, probably another $50,000 if you sold them right. To me, none of that mattered. Her love was the real treasure. But to my family, it's like she left me a pirate's chest full of gold, and they're ready to slit my throat to get it. When the lawyer read the will, I was floored. Grandma left everything to me. My siblings got nothing. Zip. My parents each got $10,000, which they acted like was an insult. I had no idea she'd done this. The lawyer, a kind, older man named Mr. Thompson, pulled me aside after the reading. He said Grandma changed her will a year ago, right after a big family blowout at Thanksgiving. I wasn't there. I'd been working a double shift at the diner where I wait tables. But apparently my siblings ganged up on her, demanding she sell the house to help them out. Mark wanted money for a new business venture. His last one tanked. Lisa said she needed it for her kids' school fees. She's got 2 boys, 6 and 8. Jake just wanted cash, probably for his gambling habit. Grandma snapped, told them they treated her like a bank, not a mother. She told Mr. Thompson she wanted me to have it all because I was the only one who loved her for her heart, not her wallet. The day of the will reading, the air in that stuffy lawyer's office was thick with rage. Mark's face went red, his jaw clenched so tight I thought his teeth would crack. Lisa started sobbing, but it felt performative, like she was auditioning for a soap opera. Jake just stared at me, his eyes cold and empty, like I was a stranger who'd stolen his birthright. My parents didn't say much, just muttered about how unfair it was. I tried to speak, to say I didn't ask for this, but Lisa cut me off with a venomous, "Don't act innocent, Ellie. You probably sweet-talked her into this." I didn't. I swear on my life I had no clue. Grandma never hinted at it, but the way they looked at me like I was a thief, a con artist, made my stomach churn. I went home that night and cried until my eyes were swollen. I missed Grandma so much, and now her final gift to me was tearing my family apart. At first I thought we could work it out. I'm not greedy. I don't need a big house or a fat bank account. I offered to split the money evenly, to give each sibling a quarter of the savings. I figured it was the right thing to do, you know? Keep the peace. But Mr. Thompson said the will was airtight. Grandma had added a clause that explicitly forbade me from redistributing the inheritance for 5 years. She'd even written a letter, which the lawyer handed me. It said, "Ellie, you're the only one I trust to honor what I've built. Don't let them bully you. This is for your future." I sobbed reading it, but it also made me feel trapped. She wanted me to have this. But at what cost? I tried to compromise anyway. I had about $25,000 in my own savings, tips from years of waitressing, plus a little side hustle selling handmade jewelry online. I gave Mark, Lisa, and Jake $20,000 each, keeping just $5,000 for myself. I thought it'd show I wasn't trying to hoard anything. Big mistake. They took the money without a thank you, and it only made them hungrier. Lisa called me the next day, saying $20,000 wasn't enough to fix her life. Mark texted me a spreadsheet of his business expenses, demanding another $50,000. Jake didn't say anything, but I saw him watching my apartment from his car across the street one night. I don't know how long he'd been there. Then things got scary. 2 weeks after the will reading, I came home to find my apartment trashed. The couch was slashed, my dishes were shattered, and Grandma's music box, the one she gave me when I was 10 with a tiny ballerina that spun to Claire de Lune, was smashed to pieces. I fell to my knees picking up the broken bits, crying so hard I could barely breathe. The police came, took pictures, and said it was probably a random break-in. But when I went to my bedroom, I found a note under my pillow. "You can't keep what's ours." It was written in sharp, angular handwriting. I knew it was Jake's. I'd seen it on every half-assed birthday card he'd ever given me. I called him, my voice shaking, and asked if he did it. He laughed, actually laughed, and said, "You're paranoid, Ellie. Maybe you should share the wealth before you lose your mind." I tried to brush it off to tell myself he was just being a jerk. But then my car's brakes failed. I was driving home from work on the highway, going about 60 miles per hour, when I pressed the pedal and nothing happened. My heart slammed into my throat as I swerved through traffic, barely making it to the shoulder before crashing into a ditch. I was okay, just a few bruises, but the mechanic who towed my car looked grim. "Brake lines were cut," he said. "Clean slice, not wear and tear." I felt like I was going to throw up. I didn't tell the police it was Jake. I had no proof, but I knew. Lisa's no better. She started showing up at the diner, all smiles and fake tears, telling my co-workers how I stole the family inheritance. She'd corner me in the parking lot, begging for money 1 minute, then hissing threats the next. "You're not safe, Ellie," she said last week, her voice low and cold. "People get hurt when they're greedy." Mark's been more subtle, but just as bad. He invited me to a family meeting at his place, but when I got there, it was just him, pacing in his living room with a whiskey in his hand. He told me I should sign over the house to him, that it was only fair since he's the oldest. When I said no, he got this look in his eyes, pure rage, and whispered, "You'll regret this. My parents are the worst part. I thought they'd be the voice of reason, but they're just as bad." Mom called me last week, her voice all soft and guilt-trippy. "Ellie, you're tearing this family apart. Just give them what they want, and we can all move on." Dad was blunter. "You're being selfish. Grandma would be ashamed." That one cut deep. They know how much I loved her, how I'd spend hours at her bedside when she got sick, holding her hand, reading her old mystery novels aloud. They didn't visit her once in the hospital, not once. And now they're acting like I'm the villain. I'm terrified all the time now. I moved out of my apartment and into Grandma's house thinking it'd be safer. It's not. Last night, I woke up to a loud crash downstairs. I grabbed the knife I keep under my pillow and crept to the staircase, my heart pounding so hard I thought it'd burst. The living room window was shattered, and there was a brick on the floor with a note tied to it. "Last warning." I called the police, but they just took a report and left. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I keep imagining Jake sneaking through the dark or Lisa hiring some thug to fix her problem. I don't know what they're capable of anymore. I've got a security system now, cameras, motion sensors, the works, but it doesn't make me feel safe. I see their faces in my nightmares. Mark's smug grin, Lisa's fake tears, Jake's cold stare. I keep thinking about Grandma, how she'd be heartbroken to see her kids and grandkids like this. She wanted me to have a future, to maybe go back to school, start a business, live in her house with the garden she loved. But I can't enjoy any of it. Every day feels like I'm waiting for the next attack. I've thought about giving it all up. Just signing over the house, liquidating the savings, and splitting it with them. But every time I consider it, I hear Grandma's voice in that letter. Don't let them bully you. She knew what they were like. She saw how they treated her, how they only called when they needed something. I feel like giving in would be betraying her, spitting on everything she wanted for me. But staying strong might get me killed. I've started taking precautions. I carry pepper spray. I don't drive alone at night. I've told my best friend Sarah everything, and she's letting me crash at her place sometimes when the fear gets too much. I've even thought about hiring a private investigator to get proof that Jake's behind the break-in or the brake lines, but I don't know if I can afford it. I'm scared to go to the police again. They didn't take the last incident seriously, and I'm worried they'll think I'm crazy. Reddit? I'm at my breaking point. Has anyone been through something like this? How do you protect yourself when your own family turns against you? Should I fight for what Grandma wanted, or just give it all up and run? I keep thinking about disappearing, taking the money, selling the house, and starting over somewhere far away. But I don't want to lose her memory, her house, the only place that ever felt like home. I'm so lost, and I'm running out of time. Please, any advice, any stories, anything to help me figure this out. I don't know how much longer I can live like this. It's Ellie again, typing this from a different motel room, this one even shabbier than the last. The air smells like mildew, and the lock on the door feels flimsy, but it's the only place I could afford with cash. I'm running on fumes, physically, emotionally, financially. The past few days have been a blur of fear and desperation, and I'm starting to wonder if I'll ever feel safe again. My family's not backing down, and I'm out of ideas. I need your help, Reddit. Any advice, stories, or just words to keep me going? Here's what's happened since I last checked in. I'm still hiding out after that note was slipped under my door at the last motel. You can't run forever. We'll find you. My heart hasn't stopped racing since. I switched motels, paid cash, and didn't tell anyone where I was, not even Sarah, my best friend. I feel like a ghost, slipping through the cracks to avoid my own family. For those who don't know, my grandma Rose died 3 months ago and left me everything. Her $250,000 house, $400,000 in savings, and antiques worth about $50,000. My siblings, Mark, 35, Lisa, 33, and Jake, 30, got nothing, and my parents got a measly $10,000 each. They've turned on me, blaming me for stealing their inheritance. My apartment was trashed, my car's brake lines were cut, and someone threw a brick through Grandma's window with a threatening note. Jake's buddy Kyle confessed to some of it, but the police don't have enough to arrest Jake yet. My private investigator, Tony, is digging, but it's slow and I'm running out of time. The day after I got that note, I decided I couldn't just sit and wait for the next attack. I called Tony to see if he had any updates. He sounded grim, which isn't like him. He'd tracked down more texts from the burner phone linked to Lisa's neighborhood, and he found a receipt for spray paint bought at a hardware store near Mark's apartment. The same brand used to write thief on Grandma's house. He also said he'd heard rumors about Jake hanging out with some rough types, guys who'd do more than scare someone for the right price. "Ellie, you need to get out of town," Tony said. "This isn't just pranks anymore." I told him I wasn't ready to run. Not yet. Grandma's letter, the one she wrote saying, "Don't let them bully you," feels like a lifeline. But Tony's words stuck with me, and I started packing a go bag, just in case. That afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. It was my cousin, Tara, Lisa's older sister who lives a few hours away. We've never been close. She's always been caught up in her own life, a fancy job in the city. But she sounded shaken. "Ellie, I heard what's happening," she said. "Lisa called me, drunk, ranting about you and the will. She said things, bad things. I'm worried for you." I froze. Tara's not the type to get involved in family drama, so this felt huge. I asked what Lisa said, and Tara hesitated. "She said you wouldn't be a problem much longer. I don't know what she meant, but it didn't sound good. Ellie, you need to watch your back." I thanked Tara and hung up, my mind racing. Lisa, the sister who used to sing me to sleep when I was little, was talking like I was a loose end to tie up. I called Tony and told him about Tara's warning. He said he'd look into Lisa's recent calls and movements, but he needed time. Time is the one thing I don't have. That night, I couldn't stay in the motel. I felt like the walls were closing in, like whoever left that note was watching me. I grabbed my go bag, clothes, Grandma's locket, her letter, and my pepper spray, and drove to a 24-hour diner on the outskirts of town. I figured a public place would be safer. Big mistake. Around 1 a.m., I was nursing a coffee, staring out the diner's window, when a familiar car pulled into the lot. Jake's beat-up pickup. My heart stopped. He got out, alone, wearing a black jacket and a baseball cap pulled low. I slid down in my booth, praying he hadn't seen me. The diner was nearly empty, just a tired waitress and a trucker at the counter. Jake walked in, scanned the room, and locked eyes with me. I couldn't breathe. He sauntered over, casual but menacing, and slid into the booth across from me. "Hey, little sis," he said, his voice dripping with fake warmth. "You're hard to find these days." I gripped my pepper spray under the table, my hand shaking. I told him to leave, that I had a restraining order. He laughed low and ugly. "You think a piece of paper stops me? We're family, Ellie. We're supposed to share." I tried to stay calm, channeling Grandma's strength. "Jake, you've already crossed lines. Kyle's in jail. Back off, or you're next." His smile faded and he leaned in, his breath sour with cheap beer. "You're not as smart as you think. You can't hide forever, and we're done asking nicely." He stood up, tossed a crumpled dollar on the table, and walked out. I didn't move until his truck was gone. I called the police, but by the time they arrived, Jake was long gone. They took my statement, said they'd look into it, but I could tell they didn't believe me. No cameras in the diner, no witnesses who cared. I drove back to the motel, checking my rearview mirror every second. I didn't sleep, just sat against the door with my knife waiting for dawn. That's when I realized I couldn't keep running from motel to motel. I needed a plan, something to end this. The next morning, I met with Mr. Thompson again. He looked more worried than ever, his usual calm demeanor cracking. He said he'd finalized the paperwork for a trust to lock away the savings for 5 years, per Grandma's will. He also suggested I hire a security guard for the house if I planned to stay there. I couldn't afford it. My savings are down to $2,000 after paying Tony and covering motel costs. I asked about fighting my parents' will contest, and he said it's a long shot for them to win, but it could drag on for months, draining me emotionally and financially. "Ellie," he said, "sometimes the best way to honor someone is to live, not to fight." His words hit hard, but I still couldn't imagine letting go of Grandma's house. That afternoon, Tara called again, this time with a bombshell. She'd confronted Lisa, demanding to know what was going on. Lisa broke down, admitting she'd been working with Mark to pressure me into giving up the inheritance. They'd hired Kyle to scare me, thinking I'd cave. But here's the kicker. Lisa said Mark was the one who cut my brake lines. She swore she didn't know until after it happened, but I don't believe her. Tara recorded the conversation and sent it to me. I listened to it, my hands shaking, hearing Lisa's voice crack as she said, "Mark said it'd just scare her, not kill her." I felt sick. My own brother tried to kill me. I sent the recording to Tony and the police. They're building a case against Mark now, but it's not enough for an arrest yet. They need physical evidence tying him to my car. Jake's still out there, and Lisa's claiming she's sorry, but I don't trust a word she says. My parents haven't called since I told Mom about the threats, which makes me think they're in deeper than I realized. Tony says he's close to tracking down the burner phone's purchase records, which could nail Lisa, but it's a waiting game. Last night, I went back to Grandma's house. I know it's risky, but I needed to feel close to her, to remember why I'm fighting. I walked through the garden, touching the tulips we planted, now trampled but still alive. I sat on the porch swing, clutching her locket, and cried. I don't want to run, but I don't know how to stay. I'm meeting with a new lawyer tomorrow, someone who specializes in harassment cases, to see if I can sue my siblings for emotional distress or get a broader restraining order. I'm also considering selling the house and moving far away, maybe to a small town where no one knows me. But every time I think about it, I hear Grandma's voice. "This is for your future." Reddit, I'm at my wit's end. How do you keep going when your family wants you gone? Has anyone faced threats like this and found a way out? Should I sell everything and disappear or fight for what Grandma wanted even if it costs me everything? I'm scared, but I'm not ready to give up. If you've got advice, legal ideas, safety tips, or just a story to make me feel less alone, please share. I'll update when I can, if I'm still here.